Hey, this TK Irish coming from the Camp Kennerk Podcast. Man, I tell you what, it's getting close to St. Patrick's Day. Everybody's getting excited around here. But I wanted to share something with you about St. Patrick, the person. So just sit back, relax, listen to what's going to happen here. And, everybody's familiar with the fact that St. Patrick drove all the snakes out of Ireland. That's, one of his landmark moves. But he was a really cool guy. I mean, he had, think about it. Of all the saints in the world from the Vatican, this is the only one that I know that has a holiday named after him and celebrated worldwide. Now, so you got to be doing something right. And he did. But here's the real kicker. Do you know St. Patrick's Day is actually, excuse me for a second, scratch my head, is celebrate his death. Since they don't know when they was born, they said, heck, let's just celebrate his death. So that's the reason why we celebrate St. Patrick's Day. But here's what happened. This is a really unique story that, he had his own little island off the coast of Ireland. It's called St. Patrick's Island. And so he lived there with his pet goat, emotional support goat named Kevin. Things were going well. Kevin gave the emotional support that Patrick needed for all the work he's doing, provided him milk so he can make cheese and eat. So when he's on the road saving souls, he was always well nourished. So things were going well, but this one time, Patrick decided not to take Kevin with him on his pilgrimage back to the mainland. So he left him there. I mean, he's got his own island. Come on now. How much harm can be done? Well, here's the situation. He lived off the coast of a town called Skerries. Now, Skerries is a town that he's very familiar with. He goes here all the time, and that's where he usually starts his work when he's out saving souls. So he decided to leave Kevin at home, and he was going to go to Skerries and then go off, do his deal. Well, come to find out, there are some people in Skerries that got a little nosy and wanted to find out what this island that St. Patrick lived on, what it's all about. So they got on their boats and they rowed across the ocean, and they got on there, and lo and behold, who do they find? Kevin, the goat, the one that everybody loved. Well, they got hungry. So they decided that they were just going to go ahead and make Kevin dinner. They killed him, they cooked him, they ate him, and got on their boats and went back to Skerries. Well, a couple of days go by. Patrick gets home. No Kevin. Oh, God, not only is he heartbroken, he's frustrated, he's angry. So he is so mad. He is so mad that he walks across the ocean. Now, when I say he walks across the ocean, he takes 2 steps to the core island, then 2 more steps to Skerries. Now, imagine, it was such an impact on the islands that when his foot landed on the ground, it made giant footprints that are here, that are still there today. And so, Patrick's just beside himself. Because, see, he's putting this in the same attitude as saying, someone breaks into your backyard when you're on vacation, grab your pet pig and cook them up for the neighborhood barbecue. So he was just beside himself. So he gets to Skerries. He starts asking around, what happened to Kevin? No, nobody's fessing up. Everybody, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea. Well, Patrick knew a little bit better than this. So he put a spell on him. And he asked the question again. Who ate Kevin? And the only sound that came out of everyone's mouth was meh, meh, meh. The whole town, the whole community. That's the only thing they could say, you know. So when they were trying to talk to each other, it was meh, meh, meh. Well, finally, some of the elders in the community fessed up and said, sorry, Patrick, we ate him, we took it, you know, and it was just, you know, something we did. We didn't realize Kevin was so important to you. Well, so Patrick lifted the curse, and being as what you say, pissed off, he decided, well, I'm going to show these people for generations of what's going to happen. So he put a curse on their milk. All the milk that they got was sour. So for 2 generations, all they ever had was sour milk. Fortunately, it only lasted 2 generations, and Patrick, you know, let him off the hook, really. So Doug, the neighbor, you know, I think we need to talk about this because this story is just too crazy to comprehend some ways, you know?
DK, so good to see you on our 67th podcast, and a great story about St. Patrick. I love it. If my job assigned to me by the good Lord is to cast all the snakes out of Ireland, I would need an emotional goat.
Oh,
That
yes.
was my job. I got to go hunt for the snakes, and my job was to do it. I'd need an emotional goat. So at the end of the day, I would need a cold Guinness and my emotional goat. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And you know, it's people always make fun of this, you know, well, I got a support animal that's a peacock. I got to fly on the plane with my peacock as my support group.
Yeah. Yeah.
But back in the day, I mean, you think about this, you know, Patrick wasn't married, didn't have any family. So
Vow of chastity. Right. Right.
I mean, that's a tough life right there.
Celibacy. I think it's celibacy, right? If you're a man.
You know, yeah, yeah, yeah. It starts with a C, so you're in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, it's so good to see you. You got your Dr. Pepper there.
Got right here, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I've also got some of our Cracker Box caramel popcorn from our happy camper interview with Maxine Hawes up in Lander, Wyoming. So I've got some popcorn ready. Yeah, it's really good.
Is she your favorite? Is she sending you more? Because I can't imagine you're still saving that original shipment.
I'm down to the last kernels. I'm down to the old maids, as you say.
Okay, okay, all right.
Yes, St. Patrick's Day is coming. It's coming a week away from today, and we're going to have a St. Patrick's show on that Tuesday. So we're going to do it. We're going to have
yeah. You know what?
And I got a gift in the mail yesterday that applies to the St. Patrick's Day. So I'll have that for us.
Okay.
And so I'm looking forward to it, and we can go from there. Yeah.
And I've been out shopping to get my special attire for St. Patrick's Day. You always, you know, have to have that little panache, you know.
Do you have a leprechaun hat?
Oh, wait, Douglas, just wait. We'll there is a picture of me someplace out there in the stratosphere of wearing a leprechaun's hat, but I don't know where I put it.
It'll pop up.
Yeah,
now,
I know.
Now, what's interesting, when I was traveling in Ireland years ago, so many of the tourist spots have a small computer there that you could type in your name and check your name to the registry of Irish names.
Yeah, genealogy. Yes.
Genealogy. And it was a free computer, and there'd usually be somebody standing there, a host, showing you how to work it. And you just type in your name and it would pop up. And I thought that was rather good. And I found out that on my mother's side, they were Randalls. I think they were Randalls. And as soon as I said the name, oh, that's from Wexford. That's the family from Wexford. So I find that very interesting that in we do search out 23andMe, our DNA, and that sort of stuff, and they can tell you about. But our names are just as valuable to tell us where we came from, because these people, I said Randall, and they knew exactly where family was from, right like
Well,
that.
yeah, I mean they've been doing this for thousands of years of keeping track. It goes back to the clans. I think
Mm.
there were originally like 13 or 14 clans,
Yes.
and everything was a offshoot of that.
Yeah, yeah, and I find it very interesting. And then, of course, during the potato famine, so many people spread around the world, and many of them came here to the United States. So
Yes.
you got to wear your green on St. Patrick's Day, and I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, I am too. I'm making up some shepherd's pie
Okay,
and going to have maybe an adult beverage with that, and have family over and a little
good.
hoot and holler. And
Maybe some music. Does your family do that? Uh, Michael Flatley flat dancing, or what do they call it?
oh, we've done that. The chieftains. We're real fond of the chieftains.
Okay, yeah,
They're
the Chieftains, yeah,
very
they're
very
good.
traditional. They've won a lot of Grammys over the years, so they're fun to listen to.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we'll be listening to that, and maybe catch a basketball game as well.
Oh, that's true too. So there's a lot going on around St. Patrick's Day. It's a beautiful time of the year. I look forward to it. Uh, Years and years ago, used to go to the NFL Nick Farley Lounge there in Dallas, Texas, below the Lucas B&B. Nick Farley passed away years and years ago, but he had a wonderful spot there for an Irish pub, very Irish. That
Yeah.
was yeah. And then in New York City, we had Mulligan Plumbers,
Mhm.
in the neighborhood. And then we had the O'Briens. We had Flanagan's. We had them all. McKenna's Pub was right there on the block, you
Mhm.
know, and that went back to the 1920s, so it served all of the, it was open 24 hours, so it served all of the uh, butchers from the meatpacking district, and it'd be 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning when these butchers getting off work and they're in their white coats all splattered in blood, and they're standing there holding a beer. And it's just, oh, and it was real New York. And one older gentleman named I can't remember which McKenna it was, but he was an older gentleman. And I remember one night he and I got along pretty good, and we'd sit there in at the pub, and he was telling me about the stories that he heard from his grandfather
Mhm.
who lived through the potato famine. Now, this was in the 80s when I was there. And then, so his father and his grandfather, so he would hear stories from his grandfather who had come over through the potato famine. And he remembers his granddad, showing him where his fingers had turned green because they'd eat grass.
Yes. Yes. It was terrible time. That was under the English rule,
Yeah.
and poverty is beyond comprehension, and
Yes.
violence as well.
Yes, and so I'm sitting there hearing stories from his but he had heard from his grandfather,
Yeah.
third hand, but I felt like I was just right there.
Well,
Yeah,
Douglas, you know the rules. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good
yeah. Don't
story.
let the fact that they're Irish, so it's in their DNA and in their blood, and you know. And one time I was in when I was in Dublin and I was at Temple Bar. What was interesting about Temple Bar, of course, it's a very popular place, and the bouncers in Temple Bar and all the other pubs there in Ireland, they had a patch on their shoulder to identify them. So if there was something going on, that when the gendarmes, the Guardia got there, they knew exactly who was who,
Hmm.
which I thought was kind of interesting because
Well, they've had generations of practice of figuring out Now, Michael, telling me who started the fight here. Well, it was Jimmy. Jimmy was over there, and he was talking to this young lass, and the lass was saying, "Oh, get away from me, Jimmy. I'm tired of you." And one thing led to the next, and
Yeah. But what I thought was kind of interesting was all of the bouncers from place to place were had this patch to identify them,
yeah,
on their raincoats and their coats, and it made complete sense. And when we were there at Temple Bar, one of the guys asked me. He said, "Well, he looked at me and he said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Well, from New York City." And he goes, "Oh, you know McKenna's place? McKenna's bar?" I said, "You mean McKenna's pub on Hudson Street?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, McKenna's." I goes, "Oh, that's me cousins. I was there 4 years ago to meet him. Come on in." And this bouncer took us all the way up to the corner of the bar, so we were 8 feet from the stage. Okay. He cleared out a guy. He said, "Get out of the way, get out of the way." And we stood right there and we're just like, had my Guinness, and there on the Temple Bar, and you go on YouTube, you can see the music there. And he snapped his fingers, and the bartender and he came on over here. He said, "Oh, these are my cousins." Yeah, my cousins, whatever. He just took me. And I just thought, yeah, this is pretty smart. This is pretty smart. Now, that was my story there. But going back to the bouncers, Austin and New York City, Detroit, all these big places where they have areas where they need bouncers. Now, here you go hire a big football player and say you want to make $20 an hour, that sort of stuff. Whereas I'm saying, now this is a capitalistic situation where now, if you're a capitalist, you're not against union, you're not for unions. But you see, if you had a guild or an organization where you had a bouncer, a big guy who wants to be a bouncer, wants to be an enforcer, bouncer, that sort of stuff, and he is licensed, and he's licensed in CPR, a little bit of combat, how to protect yourself, maybe carrying pepper spray, right? And he had a badge, and especially the CPR or identifying who's drunk, that sort of stuff, alcohol management, so that a restaurant owner is just not hiring some kid who's off the football team, ex-football. And so when the police show on up, this guy's got his badge on or his cap, and he's identifying. Oh, okay, that's Jim. Tommy's working the front door at the club, so that sort of stuff. So they know who they are.
Yeah.
Now, Austin instituted something that was very interesting, and I think it's a brilliant thing. On 6th Street, where all the partying is, college kids go down there. What they instituted was, for lack of better words, drunk tents with beds in them. So these kids would get obliterated, and instead of arresting them, you would take them on over to this drunk tent, and you just have them stay there and sober up the next day and say, "Okay, we'll see you later," instead of arresting them. So I always thought, "Oh, that's pretty smart."
It's called common sense.
Yes, it's common sense.
Common sense.
Yeah. As long as the kid's not violent and he can't drive, put him over there.
Yeah.
You give him some coffee and make sure he doesn't hurt himself.
Give him some coffee and make him a wide awake drunk.
Yeah. So I thought that's something they've instituted here in Austin. I always thought that's pretty good. So that's my free advice for $1 of, each of these party cities, you have the guilds or bouncers guild union to come together and train these people so that a restaurant owner is not being sued because some big guy punched out a customer. No, he's here. He's on our staff to take care of you. That sort of stuff. So there you go. Now, speaking of restaurants, okay, I've got the skinny about a restaurant that my Canuck cousin Adam went to up in Jordan Station, Ontario. Now, let's back up a little bit. Last September, I went up to Canada for a wedding for my little cousin, and they had it at the Cross Creek Vineyards in the Niagara Peninsula. Now, Lake Ontario's like this, Lake Erie's here, there's Toronto, Hamilton, and Niagara Falls. Well, this area in here is called the Niagara Peninsula, and it's absolutely terrific for growing wine, vegetables, that sort of stuff. And we talked about that in that podcast.
Yeah, we featured that in one of our previous podcasts as the place to eat when you're up there.
Yes, yes. And so my cousin, and he is also the Canuck cousin who provided the video concerning that bad boy of a Briggs and Stratton, a snowblower.
Yes, that
Yes.
was a bad boy. And if I was a flake of snow, I wouldn't want to get in front of that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, special occasion, he and his wife went out for dinner. Okay. And this particular place is called Pearl Morisset.
Okay.
Now it's in the Niagara Peninsula. It's at a place called Jordan Station. It's on Jordan Road, and it's down from it's in the countryside. It's all vineyards and farms. So it's a place in the countryside, and it's down from where I stayed there. And he went and his wife went out there. We call her Skinny. We call her Skinny. Okay. And he said it's a French restaurant, Pearl Morisset, French restaurant, and it is one of the 2 Michelin star restaurants in Canada.
Wow. That's saying something. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I believe that Kevin, the magnificent computer dude, is going to post a couple of pictures, maybe a small video of some of the food. And Adam and Skinny said the food was insanely good.
All right, Doug, here we are. We're at Pearl Morisset, 2 Michelin star restaurant. The only one, I believe, she's one of 2 in Canada. We're on our final course here of dessert, and pretty unbelievable restaurant. So here we go.
Well, so when did they get their sanity back?
I don't know.
Are they walking around the countryside like they're just got out of the loony bin, you know?
Insanely good. Food coma. But they did say it's really expensive.
Oh, yes.
But he said it was worth it.
Well, good for him. He's a real foodie then.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind spending $700
for these pictures. There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm nominating Pearl Morisset to the Camp Kennerk Fine Dining Hall of Fame.
Well, I'll take a look at that, and I'm sure my vote will go right along with yours.
Yes. TK, it's beautiful weather here in Austin, 85 degrees. The rain has stopped, all sorts of beautiful things. The lavender I can see it's blowing in the wind over there. So it's just absolutely beautiful. What's it like up there in Camp Kennerk?
Well, we had a lot of rain last night, like everyone else. But I tell you what, the most amazing thing, this morning, I walked out the back and literally trees bloomed overnight. I mean, yesterday afternoon, there was no buds, no nothing. But after that big rain, boy, that just told Mother Nature, said, come on, guys, start blooming. And they came out. It's amazing. Mother Nature at her finest.
Oh, maybe so. We'll get some pictures of the blooms.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, TK, that's pretty much all for me. I've got my Dr. Pepper and I've got my Cracker Box Caramel Pop Popcorn from Maxine. We did a great Happy Camper interview with her. I'm going to have a piece of that. And that's pretty much it for me. Play ball.
Aaron, go brawl.